Susie over here with George.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
And this is the I Know, Right?
Podcast.
What's up? That was good. I'm always like surprised. So how's everything going, George?
Everything is awesome. Everything's great. Susie just introduced me to Dunk Donuts,
Best
right?
donuts in the world.
Yeah, I want to say Dunkin' for some reason. But
Everyone wants to say Dunkin'. Well, that's the big thing. Like if you tell people like Dunk, they right away are like Dunkin'. No, it's not Dunkin'. It's Dunk. They've been there, gosh, since I was like a super little girl. So at least like 32 years.
Nice,
They've been there.
That's crazy.
It's the same owners, same people, the same donuts. They don't get like into the new trends and all that, so it's good.
Nice, yeah. So that's really nice too, and it's funny too that. But you asked me a little earlier, and I said, well, I'm gonna say this for the podcast. You're like, I think you're losing weight, George, and I'm just like, no, because today I woke up and I was so disappointed because I felt skinny, I felt good, right?
Yeah, you look skinny.
And then that's what I thought too. And then I weighed myself, and the number did not move, and I was just like, what the hell? So maybe I know they say don't pay attention to the scale.
Yeah,
numbers
especially
and
because
stuff like that.
George has been very consistent as of late.
Yeah.
And I think it's the normal thing where the fat's turning into muscle.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully, I feel good, it looks good, but then the scale doesn't match.
I feel like you look good.
So yeah, so I'm definitely trying on that.
I don't just give like half-ass compliments either.
She doesn't give them out like that,
no,
randomly.
I don't. I was like, oh, George looks thinner, slimmer.
Nice,
Good.
yeah. So, and also we want to apologize for any sniffles or any kind of tone in the voice. If you might have noticed, Susie got the Kleenex out, so she's a little sicky poo, right?
I am dying. If you want to know what my family has to go through when I'm sick, first thing I did this morning was text my brothers and sisters, I'm sick, period. So they're like, oh, geez, here we go.
Are you one of those sick people that, like, even the smallest one is kind of like you're dying? Or is it like you really...
Well, I mean, I'll pull through. The lucky thing is that it's the weekend right now, so I don't have to coach or anything like that. But my body was fighting it for the past couple of days. I told you. And I think finally my body's like, she doesn't work today. Let's be full force. And I'm sick. And I do tend to exaggerate a little bit.
Okay.
I do. It's just, well, I'm not sick often. So every time I'm sick, I'm like, oh no, this is it.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. That like, so knock on wood, right? But like I haven't been sick in a very long time.
Yeah.
Like super sick at least. Like I've had like sniffles, congested a little bit. So, and I know you take care of your body really, really well, and you like physically, mentally, and all aspects. So that's why I wanted to ask you. So when it comes, does it like come crazy or like the sickness?
It varies, I guess. I think that right now, and I'm going to just like be really honest right now, the thing is that we've been really busy at the gym. And so I've had like a lot of coaching hours. And like I mentioned in the previous episodes, when I'm coaching, I'm on. So I don't have that luxury of like calling off because that's just not what trainers do, right? Or coaches do. And I also don't have the luxury of like being all like down while I'm coaching. Like people come here for, guidance and to get better. So I think that right now it's finally kind of at a just constant state where it's not like fluctuating super busy and then regular busy. So I think that my body was just like, okay. So I think this is just the kind of, it's going to be a mild cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
I know, that was a long answer for that.
And even though she's sick, she still had to come super, super nice, right, guys? I mean, look at that outfit. We have to put a little spotlight on the outfit today. She put me on game because I was like, her necklace reminded me of Indians, right? And she's like, what do you think our people are, right? So
I mean, yes. So actually, and like I don't think I'm going to take more time with George off camera, guys. But the indigenous people from where we originate are called Huichol, or Wiharika people. And I have actually made a friend. So every year, the Taste of Merrill's Park, which is where I live, Merrill's Park, they bring in a lot of vendors for that. The Taste is huge. It's like I think the second biggest next to the Taste of Chicago. So we get a lot of vendors, and they bring in a lot, which is awesome, from like Mexico.
Oh, really?
And
I know that.
Yeah, they bring a mariachi, they bring dancers, and it's a good time. Like, if you're Mexican, So, they bring people in that do like, pottery or that just all types of people. They for a few years they had people from Colotlan selling
Nice.
leather and
Right, the belts and stuff.
piteado, yeah,
Right.
because Colotlan, where we're from, it is the world capital of piteado, which is a type of embroidery from a specific type of yarn called pita that comes from a fruit. Okay, so. And you like chew it and then you put it into the belt. It's really awesome.
Yeah,
I've
seen that before. It's
I
pretty
had
cool.
one growing up. I have to go and just get one. I have I have stuff that's embroidered. But Lorenzo, who is actually a week-old person, like it's been like 7 years already that he's been coming in, and he came in like almost no Spanish, just his indigenous language, and he would kind of like be like yeah, $5 or whatever,
Right,
you know.
right.
And so we've become friends. Every year I go and say hello to him. I always buy stuff. Never try to bargain for a lower price with someone that does artisanal things. It takes them a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of supplies. Just because it's homemade doesn't mean you get to barter or regatear. You say it in Spanish.
Or because they're Mexican. No, I'm
Right,
kidding.
exactly, true. But this last time he came in, and they always come for Labor Day. That's the taste of Melrose Park. He made this for me.
Oh, that's
and so
awesome.
I was just like, I was in love. He's like, people have eyed it. He's like, I knew you'd like it. He's like, I've been saving. I'm like, yes. He knows already the type of jewelry. I'm like, yes, I want it. And this was $110.
Dang.
Yeah.
Did he just give it to you or you bought it?
No,
Or
I
you
had to
were
buy
saying-
it. I
Oh,
had
okay,
to buy
okay.
it. So he always gives me stuff that's smaller. I don't think it's fair. Like he said this was 62 hours of work.
Damn.
So I'm not gonna be like, thank you, bye.
Right.
You know? No, I'm not like that.
I was
but,
about to say, I was like, damn, this guy's speaking to your love language.
but no, he always does give me stuff though. He always does give me stuff. So Lorenzo, if he's out there and listens to podcasts, which I don't think so, but he is straight up indigenous, wears the garb. He's gotten very good with Spanish, but it's not his first language. So yeah, it's awesome. It's super awesome.
Nice. Yeah, so I have a lot to learn, guys, because when she said these are the people, like that reminds me of just like Indians and cowboys, stuff like that, like Native Americans and stuff like that. So I still have a lot to learn, and she's gonna school me.
I wonder if your mom thinks she has descendancy from indigenous people. She might not think that.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe she does.
Yeah.
I mean, my godparents, not my godparents, my grandparents, they're. I don't know what to say. Like super dark skin. I guess.
I mean,
like
you
dark
have to
skin.
say it.
Yeah,
You
so
just
like
have to
there's
say
dark
it,
skin
yeah.
as hell. You
Her
know what
parents?
I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
My grandpa and grandma.
Okay.
So, yeah,
there
so-
you go.
Yeah. So we'll see. We don't know. So
Awesome.
yeah. So let's go right ahead. You have something to show me, I think you said?
Yes,
or
I
wait?
do. So we had a question a couple of episodes back, and this really called to me because no one really knew what it said or what it meant, and it's a meme from just one of those regular Instagram, sites or whatever.
And if you're on our YouTube, we're gonna put it up right here.
Yes.
So you'd be able to see what we're talking
So
about. Sorry if you're on.
It's a bunch of
Audio
it's a
only.
bunch of letters, and they preface it with "She crazy if she understands this." And I'm gonna show it to George. He has not seen it.
Oh God.
But the thing is that when I saw it, I was like, "Yeah, what's so hard about that?" So
Oh dang. I don't give a fuck what a bitch got to say about me.
yes.
I don't know.
The last
I know what the fuck I do,
What the fuck I did?
what the fuck I did, and what the fuck I didn't do.
Hell yes! I am so happy. Yes. So when you see this later on, it's funny because it's like she crazy if she understands this, and it's just like IDGAFWAB, and it just continues on. And I read it, and I was like, yeah. I don't give a fuck what a bitch got to say about me. I know what the fuck I did and what the fuck I didn't do. And everybody was like, what is, and so I sent it to a lot of my friends, and they were like, what is this? They're like, we're done after the I don't give a fuck part. And I'm like, no, this is what it says. And they're like, this is amazing that you know it. I'm like, that's how you know that I am ghetto and I don't play. Like,
Oh my! Just to tell my audience and the audience out there, I'm very disappointed that I knew that.
I was super proud. I was super proud that I knew it. Like,
That's crazy,
my
though.
sisters knew it. I sent it to my friend Clarissa. She knew it. But yeah, it was so funny. I sent it to like my white friends, my whites, and they did not know, and they thought that was so funny that I did. And
That's
I was like,
hilarious.
yeah, like that's what you would tell. Like, there wasn't a lot of texting back when I was in high school, or but that is definitely something that I would have texted somebody. Like,
No, there's no way. I don't think, dude, you wouldn't text that whole thing though, would you? Like that?
I would text most of it like that.
Oh my goodness.
WTF, I didn't do. I would like write that out.
Right.
But yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
But
That's
that's
insane.
awesome that you knew.
Yeah, I knew most of it. So
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm really happy about
It kind
that.
of just flows though. Like
It
once you
does.
get like the first thing, you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is exactly what I'm gonna tell somebody. Like it's just like.
Yes, this is exactly what you're gonna see. People that don't talk like that wouldn't
Yeah.
get it. So the fact that you know it, you talk like that.
Right,
so it's
right.
awesome.
That's so funny. It's crazy how language has changed so much, right? Like using those emojis, like sometimes like instead of laughing out loud, I kind of want to say like LOL or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, and then like, if you see all my text messages, they always end with like LOL, and it kind of makes me so mad that like it's kind of just like a period now at the end of all my sentences.
Yeah, but LOL, are you even laughing out loud? You're just like, huh.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like whatever. So
Yeah.
like, and then. LMFAO is finally like, oh, I really laughed.
Like I'm really laughing,
Yeah.
and I'm like really, really laughing. If it's LMFAO, oh. That's how you know I'm actually really laughing, and I'm just like LOL. Just know I was like, huh, that's cute or
That's
funny.
so funny. I wonder about what. Okay, so if that, I wonder. Do you remember how like ghetto, like I don't know if maybe you wrote like that, but like back in the day they used to write really, really big cursive.
I
Like,
write big cursive.
That always reminded me of like how ghetto girls used to write like really
Yeah.
big cursive, and like
I
they would
write-
take like huge amounts of space in the paper.
I write big cursive. I do. My sister Carmen, actually, who is a police officer now, she has like the biggest cursive, and like all the other girls thought she wrote so amazing, and I kind of adopted her writing. I don't write as big as hers, but I do write very similar. Where people are like, what does this say? What does it say? Because it's just like a never-ending circle. It's like loops.
Oh
loops.
my goodness,
Yeah.
that's so funny.
And yeah,
Did you
that's
guys were you do you feel like you were considered ghetto like in your high school days and stuff like that?
Actually, no, I don't feel. I feel that by association, after high school, then I just kind of was like, oh, you went to Proviso East. Oh, you're from Melrose Park. Oh, like you're not,
Okay.
that
Okay.
I'm just ghetto from association, and I'm proud to be. I am not ashamed. But in high school myself, no, I don't
No?
feel that I was. I was kind of a dork.
Like I remember like all the ghetto girls like they used to like wear ponytail, and like this was like super gelled, like really like hard. Like
Well,
for some reason that's
I
how
didn't like
remembered it.
having my hair up. Still to this day, but I would do like super slick to the side. You know what I'm talking about? Like super slick
Yeah,
to
it
the
was
side.
like stuck on your forehead.
Yeah, and then it'd be like up here.
Oh my god.
I
that
did
brings
that,
back
yeah.
memories.
And I
That's
had
hilarious.
the really most awesome burgundy lipstick.
Wow.
And I did like my eyeliner. And since 1997, I've been wearing highlight under my brow bone. That is not a new thing.
She
okay?
started it, yo.
It's not a new thing, but yeah, I took a lot of care with my makeup once I started high school. It was like at least a 40-minute excursion where it was like, okay, highlight, perfect eyeliner. Then let me go underneath my eye with white eyeliner, and then line my bottom lid. And it was just like, yeah, I was so about it. And then I also did like the brown pencil.
Oh, you did not. That's what I was gonna ask you. Like the
But-
little Pac-Man lips.
Yes.
Like
Brown pencil with like a lighter gloss, but then you would blend the brown to like. That was cute.
Oh,
I don't
that's
care.
fancy. That's fancy.
don't care
The
what-
blending part's fancy.
I don't care what anyone's got to say, but you'd have a real pale face. Like blush was not a thing, so you'd have a pale face, and I did. I wore Dickies, all that stuff.
Nice.
Tube tops. Oh, I miss it. I want to.
She's having a flashback, guys.
I want to wear Dickies now. I want to wear Dickies today. I actually ordered some not that long ago.
Oh my goodness.
I'm excited.
That's
But
hilarious.
yeah, so I feel that was just part of my culture and my time for my group of people, right? Like if I was in LA, they were really big into like Dickies as well, but like high socks and even bigger hair.
Right. The Cortez. You
Yeah,
remember Cortez?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't have any, but so I feel like that was a part of their culture, and so to people, that just seems ghetto, and I guess that's why I'm like I'm proud to be ghetto. If you think that me doing that was ghetto, I played the violin for 8 years. You know what I mean?
Damn.
I played with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, the Junior Chicago Symphony Orchestra twice. I was in spelling bees. I was part of student council. yeah, like I made, dumb teenage mistakes and all that stuff, but like I know that I wasn't just like some like lazy kid or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's nice though that you
Yeah.
get to carry that because you have like the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I mean?
sure.
That you know
100%.
Yeah.
100%. What is that movie? What is it? What is it? God, I can't believe it just
What's going
escaped
on
me.
in it?
Where he's like, yeah, you have to be like book smart and street smart, and then you're like double smart. I can't even think.
No, I don't even know.
Oh, I'll get back to me. I'm sick.
It's
so
gonna happen when like
it's
we're talking about our main topic.
It's escaping me.
Oh man, that's so crazy. So yeah, so yeah, that's a funny ass meme. So but yeah, so you want to get into our main topic, so let's go ahead and continue the ghetto-ness and talk about
a different kind of ghetto.
Yeah. So what's today's main topic that we're gonna be discussing today?
So the big thing about today is that there is a show, and I've already watched this season like honestly 3 times. 30 hours of TV, everyone. Okay.
Oh goodness.
Just so you know what I'm doing with
Wait,
my spare
3
time.
times you've watched this?
I watched this.
And it's 30 hours of TV?
Well, because it's 10 episodes, and it's like about slightly over an hour each episode.
Holy cow. Okay, cool.
Narcos Mexico.
Ooh, okay.
You haven't watched it.
I haven't watched any of that, but I did watch the very first
the first
season
of Colombia.
Yeah. So who was that? Is it Pablo Escobar?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I watched that one. That was pretty cool. I don't think I ever finished it though. So I never finished it.
Oh my God, that's terrible. And I know you told me that Stephanie had talked to her mom about it. Now her mom's obsessed.
Yeah, so Stephanie never even watched it, and she was just like all up in the hype, and she told her mom about it, and her mom just finished this like a novela that's kind of like that.
There's so many.
Yeah, so
they're good too, people.
Yeah, so she's like, you gotta watch this, ma, and then she started watching it, and now she's fucking in love with this Narcos.
There are so many novellas that have to do with cartel stuff, and I remember the very first few that came out. I was so against them because I'm like, we are just perpetrating this problem, right? We're highlighting these people. It's a huge, awful problem. And I'm going to preface this whole segment with me telling you that I am not about drugs. I don't agree with what these people do, that there have been over in the past, by now it's been like 14 years, 15 years, about 80,000 deaths of people in Mexico, more than the war in Afghanistan. Okay, so, and it's our people. It's Mexicans killing Mexicans. Okay, so I'm going to just say that I don't agree with anything that is happening as far as that. Now, I wish it was just that simple, but it's not. So when these novelas came out, there's like La Reina del Sur, El Señor de los... There's just so many of them, and I was just like, and like my mom agreed. She was just like, no, now with the time's passing, it's just like me wearing my brown lip liner. It's just become part of the vernacular, part of the culture, part of today's society. And so I am a person that's on the pulse of things, like I've mentioned before. And so for me to be on the pulse of things, I have to watch this stuff. I watched the Colombia one because I was not very, I knew like the basics about Pablo Escobar, and so I wanted like a little bit more information. And it was a really good series.
Yeah, so what I watched,
It was a really good series, and I was like, oh, okay. Obviously they have to fictionalize certain things, and they have to make things bigger and minimize other things, So, then I, like the person that I am, and I did research, and I'm like, oh, wow, blah, blah, blah. But once they announced the Mexico season, I was like so hyped because in school, since I've always been against this topic, in my global politics class, I did a whole presentation on Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo and how the cartels in Mexico started. And I like so much research. I got like an A+ on this report. I remember like we had to do like a PowerPoint plus like presentation, and like I had to write a paper. And I remember that like a guy that was gonna go the next time we had class, like he never came back. And I ran into him like a few months after. I'm like, hey, like you didn't finish the class. We were at the end, He's like, your presentation was so good. He was like, mine was trash. Like I couldn't do it.
Oh,
wow. He's like, I knew I wasn't prepared. I really went all in because I wanted to know as much as possible. For me to criticize something and be so against it, like I wanted to know. And so my report was thorough. So this first season was my report. I feel like somehow the producers found my my
Her
report.
report, okay.
and that's
Let's
how.
base it off this.
Yeah, like
little
let's
girl's.
pace it off Susie Castro's PowerPoint presentation for her global politics class. But yeah, I was just like really like impressed with the accuracy. There were some things that obviously, like I said, weren't included, and there were things that were changed, and names are changed for people's privacy. And I also like that there are certain names in the show they beep out. It'll be like, oh, señor, and it's like beep. And they do that because that person is actually still in power. And they don't want like any,
Drawback or like
yeah,
negative, right?
Yeah, they don't want any, like retaliation or whatever. Because I mean, Mexico is Mexico. And unfortunately, most of Latin America is bombarded with injustice.
So is this okay that we're talking about this stuff right now? No, just kidding.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So, so then after that, I was obsessed. And I was just like, I cannot wait for season 2. I was just, besides, Diego Luna plays Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo. And I've been in love with him since 1995. So if he ever listens to this, just know that I'm here. I'm here for you.
Diego Luna, man. If
Yo soy aquí, Diego, te quiero mucho.
I don't know. Wait, who's Diego Luna? Which is that guy?
Oh my God! You know who Diego Luna is?
You gotta. I don't.
I'm so
I'm not
sorry,
doing
Diego.
names.
Yo no lo conozco a él, okay? Diego Luna is, and this is
Pull
gonna,
him up right now on the phone. Let's see. I want to see who this guy was. I'm not
one
sure
of
who
my
it is.
topics. Diego Luna has been acting, and he started off in Mexican novelas.
Oh wait, he's not the guy with the colored eyes, is he?
He
No,
has
he's
lighter
not.
eyes,
I'm
but no,
confusing
that's
him.
Gael Garcia Bernal. That's who you're thinking about, which I also love. Okay. Los quiero los dos igual.
Oh
okay?
no, that's
It's so hard.
That's bad.
That's so, Dos Mujeres Un Camino. Let me try to, I had it on airplane mode. So as I'm looking for it, there we go. He's so dreamy. I can't.
Oh God,
He's so
Susie.
dreamy.
Stop it.
Yeah, so this is Diego Luna.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, so.
He looks a lot buffer though, in the like a lot chunkier.
Está embarnecido. That's what you say in Spanish. Like he's just getting more mature.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's just getting more
Yeah,
mature.
he's good looking.
He's good
He's really
looking.
good looking.
He is gorge.
Yeah.
But he comes out in it. And so obviously, as soon as I knew he was going to come out in it, because I'm a huge fan of everything that he does.
So where did you see him before that?
The first time I ever saw him act was in El Premio Mayor. It was a novela. He was a chunky kid, actually. And I was like, oh, like, he's funny. Like, he played, like, your typical teen, smart-ass kid.
But now he's like a badass in this movie, right?
Yeah.
In this show, right?
Yeah, and then he did another novela after that. The name escapes me. But his next best thing was Y tu mamá también.
Yeah. I think I've seen a little bit of it. Yeah.
Guys, it's on Netflix. Y tu mamá también. It translates to And Your Mother Too. It's Gael Garcia Bernal and Diego Luna, my true loves. And they're friends in this movie. And it's just like a sexual coming of age movie.
Oh, I gotta watch that one.
That's how I'll describe it. But anyway, so I knew he was going to come out in this. And like I said, I've been a huge fan. And I like everything, absolutely everything that he does. Because he picks parts not for necessarily like blockbuster, numbers, but because he likes the roles.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, so he was in, I loved it, and I really couldn't put my finger on it why I loved it. My mom was so surprised too, but once season 2 was ready to come out, I'm like, yes, like I love this for so many reasons. The first one is going to be Diego Luna. I love him, right? We've already established that. Number 2, it's the fact that like in every scene, in every moment, there are Mexicans playing Mexicans.
Ah, okay.
Okay? And I couldn't place my finger on it when I first watched it. I was like, why do I like this show so much? It's not the same as watching a novela, which I do enjoy those as well for the drama and all that stuff. And it's a bonding moment with my mom and myself. But it is a show that is like an American show. But they're filming in Mexico. They're filming in places that Americans would never go to. Americans would never see. They're places that you and I have been to before. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are places where our parents are from. There are places where we have friends that have gone there. It's not like, oh, it's spring break and it's, like we're at, this awesome resort and it's all inclusive and we're at the ocean and someone's braiding our hair on the ocean, on the beach, and, we're eating these awesome, like, fancy Mexican dishes and like the nightlife here. It's like the foam club parties.
It's true Mexican and
it's true Mexico. And like I think that lately, it is hard with how polarized this country is for us to kind of like remember that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's either Cancun and like Acapulco, or like, oh, there's this thing that they do, Day of the Dead, and now they have altars and let's all dress up as calaveras for Halloween. Now that's like the newest thing, and it's like, no, these are actual Mexicans playing Mexicans about a Mexican problem in the locations that you probably would never go to in the desert,
and it's familiar to us
in the small towns. Yes, and I feel like such a sense of nostalgia when I watch it. I'm just like, oh, like yes, like I've driven down a really curvy ass mountainside like that. Like I got like car sick, and like it's always like that.
Like that's my homeland. That's where I'm from.
Yeah. And so it like, unfortunately, even though it's an awful topic, but it's what's going on presently. And if we think that because we're in this country, it doesn't affect us, no, it's not just a one-way street. It's a circular problem. So just like we have the demand here for the narcotics, they have the supply, and it just goes back and forth, So I feel that it's important for people, even though it is historical fiction, I guess, for people to see that, and people to see that, like, when they go to someone's house, it's not this luxurious, like, mansion, and it's also not like a little hut in the middle of nowhere. It's a, moderate size, simple home. And that's where most Mexicans live. And they're the ones that are affected by this. And I think that's why I love it so much. The representation matters, even though it's in this way. I really think that's why I enjoy the show. Season 2 came out, and it was just a lot of familiar type of locations. It's never anywhere I've actually been, I think, but it's places that are similar.
Yeah.
You see faces that are similar. You see, not the novela Mexicans that are super light skinned and tall, right? You see the regular folks.
It makes you kind of miss Mexico.
Oh, I miss it. I miss
like,
it so much.
It's just kind of like just envisioning, I could see like people, how they cross the street and how the traffic is and how things are like that. And so that's
it does bring a sense of nostalgia. It brings a sense of like pride too, not in the people doing the narco stuff, but in the people that are just like there and just like living their life.
Right.
So I think that is the main reason why I actually do love this show. And I wonder if Colombians felt the same way about the first part, where it was centered around Colombia and those cartels. I wonder if they felt similar. And I also like that it's a true story. So like I said, like I did a huge report on Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo and how the cartel
So that's
started.
who the show's based on.
Right,
now.
So Diego Luna's character. The thing about it was that there's always been crime. There's, imagine them like gangs. If it's hard to imagine, cartel sounds like such a big word. Imagine them like gangs at first, right? So then he was like, hey, like we're wasting a lot of resources. We are fighting each other. It's dumb. Like, let's all get together. We'll be one giant thing. We'll be a cartel, and we'll work with each other to like make money. And it sounded like a very, utopian type of idea, but it didn't work out, obviously. But he's actually still alive. He's in prison still. So you get to know, like, okay, obviously no one could ever know what he was actually saying or thinking or all those things, but his good idea ends up becoming like this really bad thing. And it just shows you like all the people involved and how like the pieces start to move and all this stuff. So I like that you get to see that. Like the problem increases because of obviously greed, and the male egos are so awesome. I want to say a lot of problems start because of that. But also then you get to see that, we are blessed to live in a country that we do, because while there is corruption here, there's a certain amount of checks and balances. In Mexico, there's not that.
Right, yeah.
Like, you have legit the,
Like
head.
the cartel could run it. Like
Yeah.
they could go out in the street and
Yeah.
be like, I'm gonna do this.
Yes, 100%. So I really liked it. The second season, a lot of people have been giving mixed reviews. They're not really huge fans. And like I said, I've already watched it 3 times. So I can say it with all certainty that it's a good season.
Yeah.
It's a good show, because it may seem like a transition show. I don't really feel that it's that. It's just at some point, and I don't want to do spoilers or anything, like, things have to change. And so faces change, and that's the way it is in this awful world that they are working with. Things are constantly changing. So, yeah, I liked it. And the thing that is the main difference would be the Colombian seasons had really charismatic characters, like Pablo, and then you have Pacho, and then like so much life, and you're like, yeah, I like that guy. Like, he's so like vibrant and all this stuff, and he just like attracts you to him. And a lot of people have said that they didn't find that in the Mexico series, and I almost find it offensive. But I also understand why they would think that, and this is my third reason why I like it. Mexican men, especially from the north, are not your whole like, hey, let's go. They're not like they're your song and dance type of guys.
Okay.
They're just like the strong and silent type of guys. They're the cowboys. They're the guys that you see in the old westerns. Like, cowboys didn't come from the United States, okay? Like, they came from Latin America. They came from Mexico. And so they're just a strong and silent type. And therein lies their charisma. The fact that they could, like, when I think of like my brother, like, if you've met my brother, for the most part, he's quiet.
Oh, he's a quiet guy,
People call him Smiley because like he has like almost like a resting bitch face. But then when you talk to him, like, he's super funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what these guys are to me. Like, my grandpa was the same way. My grandpa would sit down. This was his stance, like his cowboy hat on, just super quiet. And then he'd tell you the funniest stories. And that's why I also like it. Like, yeah, maybe they don't have the charisma as you would imagine yourself to want to have, or like really outgoing or all that stuff, but like, they're the strong and silent types. That's just kind of like the face that the northern part to central part of Mexico has. But then we get to know them, like, they have a lot of honor. They're very sweet.
Yeah.
They're family protectors, so it brought me a lot of nostalgia too. Like, a main character, Pablo Acosta, he was from Chihuahua, and like, just him being quiet, but like, he would always be like, no, like, he was always about like his honor, and he thought certain guys were like clowns, and he was very elusive with his words. He would never tell you his plans, and I'm like, that just reminds me of like my grandpa or my uncle.
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that, because my mom's visiting from Mexico. My mom lives in Mexico. She's been living there for like the last 5 years, and it's funny that you say that it's like a true story, because the last time I visited there, you hear these stories about cartel stuff, and like, it hasn't touched our city too much, like it does like anywhere else, but like, my uncles, they talk about it. They talk about like, oh yeah, that guy's involved with the cartel,
Yeah,
or they know like this house. They know this house. Like, oh, this house. Like, I'm like, damn. I go down there. And I'm just like, I'm gonna buy that house. I'm like, oh no, that's a cartel house. You don't want to buy the house, because it's huge and it's a badass house.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that you say that and how it's a true story. And not only that, but like how you say like, it reminds me of my grandpa and my tios and stuff like that. Because my mom just spoke to me about this, because I have a daughter, and she sees how loving I am, but she was trying to show me that back in her day, she was the only daughter from my grandpa, and that outside of the house, like, he was this like machismo, and like, with his friends and everything, and he was rough, but like behind the doors, he was just so loving and caring to like her,
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that you say that, and because you can see the correlations, and like, it kind of gives me chills, like, just thinking like, if I watch that show, like, my mom lives there, and like, I go visit there, and like, your car could get hijacked, or like, could like, if they just find out that you're like from the US, or if you're like doing like, it's kind of weird. So
100%.
Yeah,
It's super scary.
Yeah,
it's super scary. But yeah, that's also, it's just unfortunate. And I remember when I was little, going to Mexico every year, and I think around, maybe when I was like 22 or 24, like you kind of just knew that that was not going to be the thing anymore. You were not going to have that opportunity because things were really changing rapidly under the new government, all that stuff. Like the war on drugs, like they don't like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So then you're not just able to go like how, you know, like my kids don't have that experience of going every year like how I did. And I think a lot of kids nowadays don't.
Yeah.
And like I know I did. I know I really enjoyed my time. I have a lot of, you know, nostalgia for it, like a longing for it. I really love it. Because of these places, because of, you know, unfortunately these men that are so, you know, machista, you know, but can be so gracious and funny and, you know, like good humored and all that stuff. Like my dad hasn't really been in my life at all, but like he always he's like never yelled at me in my life. You know what I mean? Like he always treated me with respect. He always talked to me de usted. He never called me tú or anything, and that's how he would talk to my siblings as well. And you know, like he was the same exact thing, just like this really obviously annoying guy that like didn't support any of his kids. But yeah, you can see how people thought like he was charming and all that stuff. So yeah, that's why I really like it, and I'm just like hoping like, oh no, I hope this never ends.
But you know the truth.
Yeah, I know the truth.
You know what's going down.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So out of all that, what's your review on it? Out of a 10, what would you rate it? What would you rate it from? I guess Colombia or the first season of Mexico.
I'm biased.
Because you said this is the second season of Mexico.
This is the second season of Mexico compared to Colombia. I'm gonna say Colombia went from an 8 to a 7. I'm gonna say that in comparison to that, season 1 to Colombia for Mexico was a 9, and this season was probably like 7.5, but still good.
Nice, cool. So like, would I have to see all of season 1 Colombia to get into Mexico or no?
No, I would say if you don't really have to watch Colombia at all, but season 3 of Colombia does lead into Mexico. Vital characters.
I don't know.
El Señor de los Cielos.
I have so little time that if I get sucked into a show, like I'm just gonna be like, oh, and then I'm gonna feel like once I'm done with any kind of series, I just feel like I just wasted my whole life.
Do you?
Yeah, all the time.
I feel so
no matter
enriched.
what it is. So yeah.
I feel so enriched.
So
like
I might check it out just because it is Mexico, and I've in my later years in life, I've come to a loving of Mexico. Mm-hmm. So before, when I was younger, I hated Mexico.
Really?
Like, yeah, I hated Mexico. We had no warm water. You know, we used to have to hold. We used to have
again,
like 15.
George is from the ranch.
Yeah, so we used to have no hot water. We used to have to hold buckets out in the sun.
Para el tinaco.
Yeah, we had to have buckets of water out in the sun if we wanted warm water. My uncle didn't have a toilet until I went back when I was like 29. You know what I mean?
God.
Like, so we had to, like, sorry about the vulgarness, but like we had to take a shit in the back, like out of it inside of his ranch. Like no, like literally
like
we just pop a squat. Yeah, we just pop a squat on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's why I didn't like. And like my first time in Mexico, I got bit by a red ant. My cousin was mean to me. I tried to ride a baby bull and I got knocked down, and it was terrible. But I went like so I went like around when I had my awakening, kind of basically around 27, I went down there to just escape from everything. And I kind of just fell in love with it. And I just, my mom had hot water, she upgraded the house. Yeah. She upgraded the house, and it was beautiful seeing, I guess like you said, like seeing my people like that, you know what I mean? And like, I come from a place where I leave the water running when I brush my teeth, you know what I mean?
100%.
And like, so like going down there, and they kind of like, you see a little kid just like in love with something that he got from like over here. That's the smallest thing that we see from over here, but he's so in love with it,
This is true, guys. This is true. And it's unfortunate that we have to go there I always remember this little boy when we were in Mexico City. God, this had to be like 14 years ago, but it's never left my mind. We were in Mexico City, and this boy was selling gum, right? It ends up being 25 cents each little thing of gum. And I remember like we were in a hurry, but you you're kind of immune to it if you're there. You're kind of just like passing people up. And I was just like, my sister and I were trying to help everyone. And my sister gave him the money, and like he was like, like then like choose a gum, and my sister's like, no, just keep it. And like he was so incredibly grateful. I just remembered him the other day. I literally remembered him like a week ago. I was like, oh my God, I wonder how that little boy is. Like it like touched my heart so much that he was like, oh my God, like she's not gonna take the gum. I'm gonna have like an extra 25 cents or whatever, But yeah, I feel for you with the no water and stuff. Oh God, that I didn't live that, and I always told my mom, like, if that was the case at my grandma's house, like I would have died. I would have perished because it's bad enough. Like, so where we're from is semi-arid weather, so it's desert. Okay, it's close to desert weather. So that means it's hot AF during the summertime, like spring to summer to early fall, super freaking hot. Like I feel like I have a heat rash, but as soon as the sun goes down, it's cold as fuck. It is so cold. And so like these houses don't have heating.
Yeah, they don't even have, some of them don't even have like, they don't even have four walls enclosing them. Yeah. So like my mom's house is open, so like you literally have to walk outside to get to the bathroom.
Yeah. No, my grandma's is the same way where it's in the middle, it's open, so like it rains inside, but like all the outer edges are closed in, like the bedrooms and the kitchen and the bathroom. Oh my God, I used to hate that so much. Like my grandma had a boiler, so thankfully like we had a boiler, but I always imagine like, God, like I can't even, I hear about my friends who would have to like just wait for the water to heat up by the sun. I was like, oh God, no.
Yes. And I think, and it's so funny because I'm over here now taking ice baths, you know what I mean? And like, so like now that I go back, I'm just, and it gives me like a sense of pride that my mom went through all that, you know what I mean? And she's like, she lived it up like hard.
Yeah, no, my mom's like I used to take showers and baths in the river.
Yeah, it's crazy to think
she's like, we would wash ourselves with this like the smooth rock and be like, oh no.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So I really like that. So I might maybe catch a few episodes of that one if I do find time of the Mexico series.
Find some time.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, definitely that was just my little PSA about Mexico, and it's not all horrible, and it's not all spring break, and it's not all Day of the Dead. Like we are a very complex culture. We have 68 indigenous languages that are spoken. We are a very huge country. Indigenous people from the northern part of the states they have completely different like lung capacities from indigenous people from the southern part of Mexico. Like these people are different, we're different, and it's a very huge country under one flag. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So,
and it's beautiful though. It's beautiful. It's awesome. And I won't get any further.
Yeah, a bucket list of mine, and I hate again to say that word or to use that word bucket list, but to end up visiting every state of Mexico at some point.
Really? Okay.
That is a dream.
Yeah, I mean I only kind of want to visit Mexico City, and just
it's so fun.
Yeah, so that's about it. So.
I haven't been in a long time, but it's so fun.
Cool.
So I have 3 places down, I think.
What is it?
Well, Jalisco, Zacatecas.
Okay.
And Mexico City. So state of Mexico.
Okay, so I think I've only been to Jalisco, and I've only been to whatever Morelia is at.
Oh, okay. Is that where Stephanie's from?
No, Stephanie's sister had her wedding there.
Oh, nice.
So I'm guessing her husband might be from there. Oh. So yeah, so that's where they're from. So, yeah, cool. Yeah. All right, guys. So we're about to end our time cap. So Susie, if you want to hear or Susie to explain any of our indigenous people or talk to her about any about that, where could they follow you or ask you or DM you?
DM me. I'm at pinkgreen31 on Instagram. Also, Susie Castro on Facebook if that's your deal.
Yes, and then you can find me if you want to see if I watched any of the episodes yet. You can find me at George the Content Creator on Instagram, George Perez on Facebook. And
we should have a poll to see if we're related. If people want you to get your ancestry done.
That is never going to happen because I don't want to get any of my family members caught up in any kind of criminal
Oh my
activities
God,
that they got.
is so dumb. That is so dumb. But okay, guys, I really withstood. I'm starting to like my energy is going down now. I feel really sick. But thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
today.
guys. So we'll talk to you guys later. Peace. You didn't do your bye.
I said bye.
But your bye.
No,
Ah.
I feel sick.